This
Jarrod,
video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now. Morning, everyone. This is the third innings, and today I'm going to try and go through with my full notes here on the intro. We had soft early wickets as England decided to not really start this innings at all with the bat. Then later on, when they got back on top of the game, they decided to just give soft wickets again. For no reason at all, they thought maybe it was time for Australia to come back in this game. Then the ball went soft, and England finally had a chance of getting on top and really putting some pressure on Australia. And then Ben Stokes gave a soft run out when he hit the ball directly to the right hand of a wicketkeeper and took him on anyway. But Australia were massively on top at that point, and then they had a bit of a soft Aussie finish. It didn't really go all that strong to the end. But mostly I'm talking about soft because of what happened today. We do not have to see Matthew Hayden's soft penis bouncing around as he runs naked on an Australian cricket ground. Instead, what we saw today was the hard route. And because of that, England still have a chance in this series. Behram, was that the intro that you were looking for?
Yeah, I think you did all right over there, Jarrod. I am personally going to be really, really disappointed if the papers tomorrow don't have the headline, Joe saves us from Hayden's route, because that's essentially what happens over here, right? And the mongoose will stay in Haydos's pants. I mean, what a weirdly entertaining day of Test cricket. Surprisingly, I feel like England are ahead because of that last wicket partnership, right? Like, what does Rushline tell us?
Do you have Rushline? Is Muku there? Oh, we can put it up.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we can't put it up. Maybe Muku could put it up. I won't touch anything. I thought Muku was gone. So it has Australia at a 66% chance. That's interesting, actually. They were around 65 to 70% for much of the day until maybe when Brook got on top, and then when Root and Stokes were together, I think that was the other time when the AI and the markets and everyone sort of started to favour England a little bit more. But I think England's very much. I think if you said to England you're going to score 320 on day one of this, they'd be like, okay, we can work with that. So I think we had them as a 1 in 5 chance of winning beforehand. This still has them at basically a 1 in 5 chance. I think I'm a little bit. I think I'm a little bit more bullish on their hopes, only because Australia still have to score more than 300 runs, and they've got a makeshift opener, right? They've got Inglis in the side. You know, I know they got Michael Nisa to give them a little bit more. I don't know. What do you think about these?
Yeah, I mean, I think 66% is a bit generous. I'd still have Australia at around 44% perhaps, because, you know, at the point where England lose both of Atkinson and Cass, right? They're what, 264 for 9?
260,
and then
yeah.
you're getting all of this conversation by the commentators that, hey, maybe Ben Stokes will declare so that he can bowl under lights, right? I'm glad he didn't.
Imagine, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it would have been the more normal thing for Ben Stokes to do. I wonder if Joe Root also just said, no, guys, we don't need to do this, right? Let's just see how we go. If they were going to do it, what would that have given them? It would have given them about 15 minutes, 12 minutes to bowl. Maybe that's not enough, Behram. I don't know.
That's what India did last summer, right? Australian summer, and they couldn't take wickets with the new pink ball. But I think like England have made the smart choice. So Stokesy is doing non-Stokesy things in this series. He's won the toss twice and elected to bat both times. I feel like that's a first of its kind. When it comes to baseball, we haven't seen this since the inception of baseball. And now England not declaring was definitely the right call. They are, you know, probably going to be the happier of both sides, having finished with 325 runs and still have a wicket in the kitty. It's incredible how Jofra was England's third best batter. Of course, there's that, right? And
I mean, it says a lot about England today that is just one of the stories, right?
Yeah, his blitz at the end really changes the complexion of this evening. And I mean, Stokesy was all smiles. It was a weird day in the sense that it starts with Starc doing Starc things with the pink ball. He removes both of Duckett and Pope for ducks. And then we see a partnership. Crawley scores runs. I mean, fucking Zach Crawley, if he scores 76 with the bat, surely you win the day on the high, right?
Well, I mean, I was thinking halfway through, like probably just after tea, maybe when Smith went out around that period of, they might have stuffed up the Crawley innings, right? Because how many innings are you going to get out of Crawley? And he had that. It was a bit more like the Crawley versus India, wasn't it? It was like it wasn't like the Pakistan one or the Australian ones where you've just seen him come out and look $1 million. He did not look $1 million. He was all over the shop, right? There were he was shaky. Kept scooping the ball up in the air. Like he almost got caught and bowled twice. He had another one over point, another one over cover. Like there was a lot of things going on with him at that point. But that second hour, I thought he batted really well. But you weren't on the Morning Glory show. I basically said on the Morning Glory show, I really feel bad. I think the breaks come at the wrong time. I think if he had 2 good hours of batting, he would have felt a little bit more comfortable, but he basically got himself into rhythm and then had to come straight back out after lunch. I kind of expected him to go out at that point. And so, but you're right. It's a bit like in the last test. They got 2 starts from Ollie Pope. And you're like, if you get 2 starts from Ollie Pope, you kind of have to capitalize on those that you haven't. And it's the same with Crawley. If you get the good Crawley, you really, you want it to make a difference. And until the Jofra and Smith and Root partnership, they were in lots of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the most important partnership of the day is probably Crawley and Root because they've lost 2 early wickets. And then, yes, those are bonus runs, 76 of them. And not throwing shade to Zach Crawley, but I'd definitely gift him a whiskey and cigar today. So the thing is over here that despite the fact that he does get runs, it's a soft dismissal. Like, that's a nothing delivery by Michael Neser, at least for me. And this surface didn't really have any demons in it. I feel like the cracks will open up eventually and it'll get harder to bat on. And so batting first was the right call. But then you see batters get set like Harry Brook and completely throw their wicket away. The one guy I'm not going to blame is Jamie Smith. That's a corker of a nip backer by Scotty Boland. That would remove the best in the business. But
Duckett probably didn't play his ball well, but that's how Duckett plays. And people go out to Mitchell Starc in the first over. The same way that we didn't really blame Crawley in the last game for going out to Mitchell Starc in the first over. Well, other than the actual shots. But, like these are things that happen to opening batters. So I think that's okay. But the Will Jacks doing exactly what Harry Brook did. I've done. If you want to go and have a look at me in the feature video, I've talked about this. They're almost identical. In fact, I don't know if Muku's doing the feature video today, but he's on producing at the moment. Maybe he could do an overlay because they are so similar, those 2 shots. And both at bad times and different kinds of bad times.
Yeah, I mean, they were building partnerships. Brook looked pretty good out there, as did Will Jacks. He pulled 1 ball for 4, and I was like, all right, maybe you are well suited for Australian conditions, right? And then those are 2 eerily similar shots. Brooks was worse. I feel like Jacks still has a better rendition of that dismissal, right? But then also
if you're the number 8, I know he's not a number 8, but you know what I mean? If you're number 8, like maybe, he had a bit of license and everything else. But I think if you look at it, if we're getting really technical, I think that Brook his weight wasn't going in the right direction. Whereas I think even though Will Jacks had his feet in another shitty position, I felt like his weight was at least leaning towards where he needed to be. But I mean, in Australia, if you get wide balls, right, you can just hit them with a flat bat. You don't need to use an angle bat because all you do is bring slips in when you don't need to. Like if he gets an edge to that with a flat bat, chances are it just goes over Slip's head. Right.
Also, Rob Barron tweeted this, that surely everyone knows that Mitch Starc is the best pink ball bowler in history. Maybe not go for the aggressive shots versus him, right? Like that's another idea, perhaps, that you could float to the England boys.
I think if Root hadn't batted as well as he did, Brook was going to be my story today. And I probably still would have compared him to Root anyway. But I think I can't remember. I might have put this in our chat room. If you have a look at it. So first thing you've got is the time, right? So England basically at that stage had to know that Starc had been held back. He didn't bowl after lunch, right? They held him back for when the shadows got onto the pitch. So straight away you're like, okay, well let's be smart with this then, right? Let's if he bowls a ball that we can reach and we can hit for 4, fine. That one you could barely reach. So the time was wrong, right? As you just said, the bowler was wrong. Because not only was it Mitchell Starc, but the thing with Mitchell Starc specifically is he gets extra bounce. The pitch is wrong because it is a pitch that gets extra bounce as well. And then the execution is wrong in two different ways. He doesn't get his feet out to the ball, and he uses a massively angled bat. That's like 5 mistakes before you even go on whether he should have attacked it or defended it, which is Behram's point, right? And I'm not saying Rob's wrong here. What I'm saying is, look at the amount of errors that he has made in a single ball. And I think when we have to be fair with Bazball and say, look, it has had success. It's got, very good records for a lot of different batters. They're batting better than they were beforehand. But we also have to be like, when someone makes that many mistakes in one delivery, like, you have to think to yourself, what on earth is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, look, the angled bat doesn't make sense because you could go for a conventional cover drive as well. I mean, I think that works just fine because it is like wide and full. So, I mean, I'm not kind of faulting the batters for attempting to hit the ball. It's just the manner in which they hit it, both Brook and Jacks. That's wrong. Also, let's talk about Stokesy. We were all convinced that Starc's going to get him. He survives that spell and then gets run out. And that due to, Josh Inglis, who is a keeper, he's going to be better at the direct hit than perhaps other people.
we talked about this last test, Dave. I think it was me and Cheyenne did one of these shows. We were saying that Crawley going out early shouldn't be seen as like the worst thing possible, because when you're not set, you can go out early. The bigger problem is when you see someone bat for a bunch of balls and they look horrendous. Ben Stokes, right? Like, the longer he was in, the more I was like, oh my God, he is really not seeing the ball well here. I don't think he picks the pink ball up. He survived, 2 edges through the slips, I want to say. I can't remember if there were many plays and misses and everything. He got another edge down the leg side that went for 4. Like, it was a leg glance, but he wasn't hitting it where he was trying to. And then, as you say, he actually gets through that, the worst part of it, when I would say that was probably the best Australia bowled all day, and they didn't get a wicket with the ball in that period. And then he hits the ball straight to Josh Inglis, who's a wicket keeper, and just takes off, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then he looked back at Root as if to say, why were you not running? I think Root's saying because he's right-handed, like 88% of the population. It was a bizarre moment, but I think again it showed that he just wasn't on it, was he, Stokes? And he was real. I give him credit. He grit and grinded his way through that, as you said, really well. But when it came down to it, he just wasn't picking the ball up right.
Yeah, he was struggling big time. There was also that leading edge that just popped up and it fell in.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
Land. Yeah, there were a few of those oohs and ahs or iffy moments. But yes, I mean, up until that point where he gets out, I'm like, you've survived the worst of it. Now you cash in. And then he goes run out, which was kind of comical and hilarious to me. But good thing for England is that Joe Root exists. And congratulations to him. Maiden Test 100 on Australian soil, 40th Test 100 overall. He saved us from Hayden's Root also. And, we were talking about
Jessica
this.
put this up before as well. Like, it's worth talking about. We never have to hear another journalist ever say that Joe Root has never scored a century in Australia. The dumbest talking point in international cricket is over. We'll find another one, Jessica. I think it is worth saying. But there's a point of that, of the amount of times I've been asked that, and I was like, his record in Australia is fine. Like, obviously, we wish he would average more, but it's okay. Right? Considering the amount of times he's gone to Australia and they've been eviscerated as a team, his actual record has stood up okay in that time. It's just that he hadn't gone on to 3 figures. And so I'm with that. I thought it was a masterful innings. I think what he did for me is he was waiting for Australia to bowl. Australia didn't bowl very well today. The ball was flat. The pitch was flat. And Australia didn't bowl very well. And England still only crawled to 300 in the end. Yeah. But if you look at Root, every time they went a little bit too straight, he scored on the leg side. I think he scored about 39, 40 runs behind square on the leg side. A lot of those were just singles to get off strike. And usually he would be staying a little bit, usually be trying to look for the singles on the offside and pushing out there. But he knows in Australia that doesn't work as well. And so all credit to him for that. The way he scored on the leg side and the way he basically waited for Australia to bowl too straight or too full all day. Yeah. Right. True. And he actually didn't bat as well on the offside because I think he was there was a couple of times when I was like, he should be scoring on these, but he was waiting for the other balls. And so he didn't even put away some of the wider balls that he got.
True. There's this wonderful comment by Hypercast who says that the talking point will just change to he's never scored a red ball 100 in Australia. Of course it will. But look.
You can't win, can you, in modern life? Yeah. Like, it will be that. It will be like, he only did it against Doggett and Nisa. And it's just like, well, okay, but Jesus, it was a good 100, considering the way the rest of his team batted and the conditions and everything. And Starc. And Boland. Starc and Boland bowled okay. It was just the other bowlers who struggled.
Yeah. You're right in saying that whenever it was full, he would just drive the ball, and he's always wonderful doing that. But also, anything short, he wasn't afraid to pull. Eventually, the reverse ramp came out as well, and that kind of makes it a signature route knock. He's still unbeaten on 135. I feel
Yeah.
like. You mentioned how England have crawled to 325, which is a weird statement in the sense that they did only bat for 74 overs, but
Yeah.
then Crawley scores runs, so I'm
I
fine
more
with
meant
it.
crawled as in, like, it wasn't a confident. They didn't get to 300 confidently, did they? I mean,
Yeah.
they could have been bowled out for 250. They could have been bowled out for 280 very easily, those two scores. And then they've ended up getting over the line because of a ridiculous last wicket partnership.
Yes. It was quite weird, right? Because when they were 264 for 9, I was like, okay, England are probably going to end up bowling half an hour over here. And they never bowl. And that's great because I think on this sort of surface, which is flat, and you know how quickly the pink ball goes soft as well. That's another element of this. So you need runs, right? You're batting first. You have that advantage. The pitch is only going to get worse. So you need to capitalize in the first innings. 325 might only just be par over here, assuming they get out early tomorrow, right?
Wow.
So
we've got Abhilash put up a message here that says Crawley scored, so it's bad news for England with the ball. There is an element. I mean, obviously we don't need to make fun of Crawley for actually batting well, but there is an element of it was a flat pitch, and so if England could actually find themselves in a position where they have a massive first innings deficit here for no reason, right? So again, they are in a situation where I think what will be really interesting is if the ball goes soft as quickly as it did. If the ball goes soft as quickly as it did, and this pitch is flatter, it should be better for batting tomorrow than it was today, right?
And I
if
mean,
it's and then how well England bowl, because Doggett was all over the shop, Green was all over the shop, Nisa was fine but not really penetrative in any way. England are going to need 3 bowlers at least, right? Because Australia can just hop on the back of Boland and Starc all the time. Boland will get the important wicket. Starc seems to be getting buckets of them. England are going to need to do something because it does not look like a wicket where you can just chip away. It looks like there are going to be times when it is going to be very, very flat. And so you need to be disciplined all the way through.
the one thing that's in their favor, I suppose, is that Australia are also in flux as far as their balance is concerned and head is opening and all of that stuff. But more on that after a short break. You guys are watching Third Innings with Behram and Jarrod, and we will be back in like half a minute. So go nowhere.
Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pitches. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting.
Welcome back to Third Innings Live. You guys are with Behram and Jarrod, and we are reviewing day 1 of the GABA test. There's this really interesting comment over here by Ashraf, who asks, why was the over rate slow? Why only 74 overs? Well, that's because Australia are playing an all-pace attack, right? 4-pronged pace attack. There's no Nathan Lyon. And you could make a case that perhaps Bo Webster would have been a better pick than Brendan Doggett because he didn't do much with the ball at all, and you could have gotten some batting depth as well. But I feel like this is going to be a theme in this entire test match because England are playing Will Jacks, but I'm guessing he's not going to be bowling heaps of overs, Jarrod?
I mean, it doesn't look like it at the moment. I mean, I think there were times today where if they had a spinner, they would have bowled him. Not for a lot. I'm just going to have a look here. Cricket Australia put up an interview with George Bailey, and I just want to see what they said because everyone's thinking the same way I'm thinking here, but I don't think that's what Bailey was thinking. Let's have a look here. I think Bo Webster was in the same boat. It was heavily debated around Inglis and Webster, and Nisa and Webster. Right? I find that's fascinating. Webster's basically missed out twice there.
Yeah.
And they didn't go for him in either direction. That tells me that I don't think they really truly believe that Webster's a top 6 bat, which I've been saying for ages, of course. But I think I thought. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You just vanished in between.
Sorry.
But yes, I mean, Bo Webster is definitely unlucky, I suppose. And, we spoke about in the preview how, he's gone. But yeah, Bo Webster is versatile, right? Like, he can bowl right arm off spin as well if need be. So he gives you an option, and you don't use him for the main overs anyway. He is expected to bowl when the ball is soft. So I feel like that's definitely something that Australia have missed out on over here. And Jarrod, these are two teams which are very differently set up, if you think about it, right? England are batting till 11, as is evident with Jofra's blitz, and he's gone again. Where is Jarrod? Oh, there you are.
Stop
So
putting
yeah,
it-
I am putting you in. Well, hopefully that'll be sorted soon. But yes, what I'm trying to say is that there are two teams which are very, very differently set up over here. On one hand, you've got, Australia, who've gone with a four-pronged pace attack. And, they're not batting deep per se. And on the other hand, England are batting till 11. And Australia also have a makeshift opener and Inglis in the middle order. So it's not like they both went for the same sort of strategy over here. They're very, very differently set up.
No. What's fascinating is that they've switched, right? The last test match, England were like, we don't need a spinner. And Australia were like, we do. And now they've swapped. I think probably, all things considered, neither side needed a spinner in either game, right? And we might still be wrong here. Maybe there's a position in the third innings where you're like, oh, it'll be handy to have Lyon here. That's why I would have probably gone with Webster. But if Webster comes in, it wouldn't have been ahead of Nisa, right? It would have been... Well, actually, maybe it would... I should say it wouldn't have been ahead of Doggett. It would have been ahead of Nisa. So Doggett is really one of the issues at the moment because he's just not bowling. If you go to the Substack today, and it probably hasn't been posted yet, but I'm sure Saurabh's working on it now. But if you go on the Substack today, like I've done a scouting report on Doggett, and it's just like the things that work for him in first-class cricket are just not working for him at the moment.
This is an interesting one by Abhilash, a super chat which says Doggett bowled a lot of bounces. It was a bouncer barrage, and that's not possible for Webster. He did his job. He was told not to bowl top of off. Jarrod, get better internet.
Yeah,
Look,
it had nothing to do with the
think,
internet. My microphone had an issue and kicked me out.
Doggett
So let me
was
talk
all
about
over
this.
the shop. His lengths were consistent. It's not like he only bowled bounces. And Webster is a tall bloke. I feel like if you tell him to bowl bounces, he could probably bowl some slow bounces.
What are we talking about here? You're picking a guy who bowls 132 kilometers an hour to bowl a bouncer barrage with right arm seam? Like, if that's the case, then they're already thinking about this incorrectly. There are other Australian... If that's what they want from Doggett, there are other Australian bowlers they should be picking over him, right? So I think that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I did talk about the fact he's got all of his wickets from short ball so far. I just don't think that's sustainable in the long... Webster isn't going to get his wickets from doing that, but Webster is got other skills, right? He gives you flexibility. But as I said, this was not this isn't even a conversation because Doggett was always going to play. It was Nisa who wasn't going to play.
True. Now there's another one along the same lines by Prodvim. He says, damn, if only Gautam Gambhir was Australia's coach, Bo would be playing every single game. Absolutely.
Okay,
Bo would
who
be
else?
batting at 5. Or
It would
Bo
be-
would be the false 3.
It would be Bo Webster, Aaron Hardy, and Cooper Connolly. They would be that would be the Australian lineup under Gautam Gambhir. But yeah, no, that's a good gag, and I approve.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go to some other super chats. We've got one from Samit Khan. He says, Root still hasn't scored a century in Bangladesh.
Cool.
Sarcasm, how
I'm so happy.
How surprised were you that Stokes did not declare tonight? Look, the commentators were talking about it. I had this fear that he will do this because that would be a very Ben Stokes thing to do. But he's won the toss and batted or opted to bat twice in a row. So that's new. I feel like he's also kind of toning it down a bit. And with respect to Root, in our Ashes preview, we both spoke about how even if he doesn't score a century on this tour, his legacy won't be diminished. But now that he has scored one, it's elevated for sure, you have to say.
Yeah, it doesn't change my I'm not changing him in the rankings of the art of batting because he's made 100 in Australia because his record suggested he could have made 100 in Australia before. It would be different if he averaged 18 in Australia or 30, 31 or 26 or something, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe there's some signs here, but I'm not changing it all. On the Stokes thing, I think it's really interesting. I kind of felt they wouldn't do it, and part of the reason I felt they wouldn't do it is because I think Stokes I think I said before, I don't think there was enough time for them to get the damage they wanted. And if they didn't get a wicket tonight, all they were really doing was handing Weatherall and Travis Head a second chance. The only thing that sort of brought me back to thinking he would do it is that Travis Head is not a normal opener. And so maybe you could, cause an issue with him with that. But that's the only other thing. But yeah, it's. I think they are. I know this maybe not the best day to talk about it, but I do think they are trying to be smarter and not as Bazball-y at times. Yeah, I do think they're trying to do that. I also wonder, because it was Root out there and it happened to Root before, if Root didn't just say, no, I'm not coming off.
Yeah. Plus, like, it's not like Root was defending either. They were going for it, so might as well like have a crack at it. And England do really well. That's what a 61-run partnership and counting as things stand. I feel like they'll be very happy with 325. More super chats in. Samrat says, why use dog into both bounces when you've got Marnus Labuschagne? Brilliant. There was that moment today where Marnus and Alex Carey didn't know whether to catch the ball or make out. That was a fun one, right?
Well, I mean, I didn't hear this on the commentary I was watching. I was watching TNT, which is a bit of a random commentary anyway, which is probably a podcast for another day. But the thing that I thought was really interesting is not that they almost kissed, and not even that he almost tackled him. It's that as he was sort of as he was sliding Marnus, he puts his hand on Carey's hand and almost pushes the ball into the surface, like what Mitchell Starc did at Lord's. Yeah. Like, luckily, the way that Carey was holding it wasn't going to happen, but it was such an odd thing, because if that was in Marnus's hands, he would never have done that, right? He would have turned his hands around, but because the ball was in someone else's hands, he's like pushing down. I'm like, don't push on the glove. The ball's in the glove. You're either going to knock it out or push it onto the ground. I mean, Alex Carey wasn't even the most amazing thing he did today. That stumping that wasn't out. I chatted to my dad briefly this morning. My dad's like, that you just don't see that in modern cricket anymore. You don't see a wicketkeeper up to the stumps take the ball as well. Like the fact that it wasn't just that it was down leg side, because it was kind of not down leg side. It was only down leg side because of where Harry Brook had moved. But to take the ball at that pace above the stumps when a guy's jumping in front of you and take the bails off like he did, that was just a beautiful bit of work by Alex Carey. And he's going to be remembered for making out with Marnus, which I suppose maybe that's better.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, Smudger will be pissed that he's beaten him to it, I suppose. But yeah,
well,
if you think about it,
we don't know what goes on.
Both wicket keepers for Australia did well today. One forced a run out and one took that catch.
Maybe they should go with more of them.
Yeah. Jessica has sent us $10. Thank you, Jessica. You could have asked a question as well, but
we did put up one of her messages before. Maybe she feels like she owes us now.
Okay. Well, Jessica's doing like the Crick Picks clippings as well, or I don't know. She's doing something for us along those lines. Vibhor with a super chat says, how many spots does Starc jump up in the all-time bowlers list in tests because of the last few years, and can he continue like this till his retirement? So last I checked, he was taking his wickets in 2025 at like 16 or 17 apiece. He's taking his wickets in pink ball tests or day-night tests at less than 17 apiece. We always talked of him as the best pink ball cricketer of all time and the pink pill pulverizer, but today he's getting he got some assistance from England's batters as well. First 2 wickets, you give them to Starc. He removes both those guys, Duckett and Ollie Pope for ducks.
I don't know if I give him Pope. Do you give him Pope?
Yeah, well,
that was a terrible ball. It was a shit ball. I don't know how does Pope manage to get bowled when someone bowls a short wide ball to them? Like, what the fuck is going on with that man? Has he got fucking magnets in his stumps?
But you think about it, right? A lot of left arm quicks will get right-handed batters to chop on. It is something that we see fairly frequently.
Yes. Usually from a fuller ball, though, or not from a short wide one. That's actually, it's usually the right-handers because of the angle. Anyway, so I think with Starc, we're going to have a similar kind of argument that we have with Anderson, right? Eventually, he's not going to get as many wickets, but he's going to end up with a lot of wickets. If he plays for another 2 or 3 years at the pace he's playing at the moment, he's going to end up with a lot of test wickets, right? So the counting stats are going to be there. Also, at the age of, is he 35 now? I think he's 35, isn't he?
He's still 30. Oh, Starkey might be 35, yes.
Yeah. Maybe look up his age while I'm talking. But at that age, you shouldn't be bowling at this pace, right?
True.
Wakar Yunus was not bowling at this pace at that age, right? Give me some other guys, right? Like,
dude, Jarrod, he's 36 next month.
I thought
next
34
month
sounded a bit, yeah. So how many 36-year-olds have we had who are pushing this pace regularly, right? And consistently. On top of that, he's more skillful now. He's smarter now. He's got more weapons available to him. I think no matter how you look at it, he's just a much better bowler than he's ever been before. And I think you have to factor that in because most guys who bowl like Mitch Starc are finished by 33. Right? Yeah. And they're kind of useless after 30 sometimes because he's an athletic bowler, right? And he's managed very late in his career to keep his athleticism, and obviously comes from a gifted family and everything else. But, there's some genes there, right? Like, we saw his catch in the last test.
And whoever his kid is going to be, or his kids are going to be in the future, they'll have even more advanced genes, I suppose. But look,
great hands and hand-eye coordination, but be able to jump over people as well. Like, it's an incredible combination. But, so you look at all that. So it's going to be a different kind of case than other fast bowlers have had. Vibble, I don't know where he was in the list because we haven't done a list of where he would have been. But I would have had him pretty low down. I'll be honest. The last couple of years has changed my mind on him so much. And, some of it has been Australian wickets, but some of it is just he's bowling better. It's really clear he's just bowling better than he ever has been before.
Yeah, plus like this year, he also plays Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, which is Starc's favorite thing to do. He goes to the West Indies where the bowlers, are in business, or seam bowlers
Should
are
we
in
fire
business.
Varun for this comment?
Varun says Starc is getting hotter with age. Look, the hairline is receding, but it's still working for him. Something's going on over there.
He's got a bit of, okay, he's got a bit of Walter Goggins going on at the moment.
He does have a bit of Walter Goggins going on for him.
Walton Goggins. He's got the Walton Goggins sort of forehead. He's got the Walton Goggins sort of sun-damaged face. He's got the big Walton Goggins smile. I'm saying, like, there's a lot going on with there at the moment. So
basically what you're saying is that he could feature in Tarantino's last movie or the next White Lotus?
Yeah, a remake of The Shield is probably what I would like most. But Suey said, is this the best version of Starc since 2015? I think this is the best version of Starc we've seen in Test cricket right now.
Yeah, easily.
I don't know if it's the best bowling he's ever had, because I think he was unplayable with the white ball for years. But I think this is the best bowling we have ever seen from Starc in Test cricket. Pink ball, red ball, whatever you want to say.
True, like he took 10 wickets out of 20 in the last test match with the red ball. Currently, 29 English wickets have fallen in the Ashes. He's taken 16 of them, right? So a 6-for over here as well. Even if they're gifting him wickets, he's still steaming in and bowling at high pace, which you've got to give him credit for. But when it comes to my all-timer list, I'd still have Waz higher than Starc as the greatest left-arm pacer of all time.
It's not even a conversation. Why are you bringing it up? Why would you bring that up?
Because Starc's overtaken him today, right? And a lot of people are going to bring that up.
Well, then, how many people in the world could you find that actually think Mitchell Starc's a better bowler than Wasim Akram? 20? Are there 20 people on Earth? I'm not sure Alyssa Healy thinks that Mitchell Starc's a better bowler than Wasim Akram, right? I mean, it's not a conversation. It's just not. I think what's interesting is, over the last 4 years, he's distanced himself from Trent Boult. And I would have had Trent Boult as the better test bowler for a long period of time. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. He's still not as good as Alan Davison or Wasim Akram. I can't believe you missed him out. He's probably gone past Bruce Reid as just because he's played so much more cricket. And these days Bruce Reid was a very one-dimensional cricketer. That one dimension was incredible, but he's probably a little bit more variable than them. If you were picking someone for the next 10 years to play everywhere, do you pick him or Chaminda Vaas?
Oof. I'd probably pick Starkey because I want that extra pace, and as soon as
probably the variability, right? Yeah.
I mean, look, the thing is that both kind of rely on the new ball, but Starc has developed these weapons. Like, he's gotten wickets with the scramble seam, with the wobble seam. Yep. He's doing different things now. He can get the ball to reverse far more violently than Chaminda Vaas, for instance.
Yeah. So Chaminda Vaas is probably still a more skillful bowler and would have been incredible in the wobble ball era, and obviously could reverse and was very clever and bowled on the worst wickets imaginable for pace bowlers. I think Sri Lankan wickets are probably the worst for pace bowlers. Yeah. He might still be a better bowler than Mitchell Starc, but I think you pick Mitchell Starc ahead of him now, right?
Yeah. The Bolt
and they both can bat
really
at about the same level, right? They're both not all-rounders, but can hit.
Yeah, both their batting. Maybe Starc's batting is a bit higher than Chaminda Vaas. I'd probably take him as a slogger. But the thing is that the Bolt conversation, for the longest time, all of us would take Bolt all format ahead of Starc because we were like, okay, ODIs will give to Starc, T20s will give to Bolt, and red ball or test cricket marginally you give to Bolt. But right now, I mean, Starc is winning the test battle as well. He might not have the most red ball wickets in international cricket of all time for a left-arm quick, but he does have the most test wickets for a left-arm quick. So that does, mean something. And longevity matters. Longevity really matters.
If he gets 2 or 3 more years of bowling with the red ball the way he has in the last 2 or 3 years, I think I think Bolt's still in the conversation. I think you can make a very good argument that Bolt's still a better red ball bowler than Mitchell Starc, and you could also make an argument that all round as a Test cricketer, maybe now Starc has him because of the pink ball stuff as well. But I think that's a conversation. If he keeps bowling the way he has in the last couple of years, it probably isn't anymore. And as I said, I never really had Starc ahead of Bolt. Again, Starc probably doesn't have. I just thought Bolt was better. I never thought that Bolt was a better T20 bowler than Starc, though. I think you've been sniffing something there. But
no, but like
last couple of years he has been, but not in their peaks. Not when they were both really good.
Fair
no,
enough.
Come on.
Anyway, we still have a lot of super chats to
Let's
go.
super
but
chat.
We'll be taking a short break. Before that, you guys are watching Third Innings Live with Jarrod and Behram, and go nowhere because we will be back in like half a minute.
I once made a pair in a club game, which is almost impossible to do. But I have been obsessed with batting my entire life. And so I put that into my new book, The Art of Batting. Being that I'm not very good at that skill, I decided to talk to other people who were. So I hit up as many contacts as I could just to talk about batting. Rahul Dravid, Brian Lara, A.B. de Villiers, Kumar Sangakkara, Ross Taylor, Susie Bates, Nasser Hussain, Ian Chappell, and so many, many, many more. I wanted batters to talk about how they and their friends made runs, because that is the art of batting.
Microphone's gone. Stop putting me back in.
Okay, now I'm also getting muted, which is kind of weird. And hopefully we get this sorted soon enough. But yes, I was in the camp where I wanted Neser, Starc, Boland, and Bo Webster. That's the sort of 11 I wanted. And then, we were also, both Jarrod and I were keen on, maybe not thinking of Travis Head as a long-term opening option. I'm fine with it in the interim. Obviously, what he does in the last innings of the previous Test match, you can't really, kind of put forward a conversation or an argument that says otherwise. So I get it why they wanted to try that out. But yes, in the long run, I feel like Head should go back at number 5. Jarrod was also mentioning how when the pink ball goes soft, you want Travis Head to be batting then. But Inglis has already made a mark in this Test match. The bowling is a bit of a problem. Minus Starc and Boland, it's like Australia don't really know where to get their wickets from. So Mitch Starc has taken it upon himself to take all the wickets. But yes, I feel that in the long run, Head goes back to 5. Webster surely gets some more Test matches. I'm not sure what's happening over there.
Yeah, I don't know if they haven't played him now. I don't know, but yes, I think Khawaja might be done. They might still play him a couple more tests because it's Khawaja. But yeah, I think it might be finished.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we've got Will Cooling now who says Jofra told us all he was an all-rounder. He could always hit the ball a long way, right? Like he's just showed us that today. That shot versus Starc, that's a cricket 26 shot where he goes on his back foot and kind of, heaves him over long on. That was
weird.
weird.
The ball. It's just not replicable. You just have a look at, some of the balls he missed today. You're just like, I don't know how he does that. Barrett says Stokes and after should have just chilled out at the crease for a bit, so the part-timers had to be brought on. England could have batted for 1.5 days. It's basically what I've said in the video, and it's what Brad Haddon was saying on TNT as well. I don't think anyone disagrees with you. It's not how they play, right? And to be fair to Stokes, that's just a mistake. Like sometimes you make mistakes.
Plus, Australia will be thinking of batting for 100 or 1.5 days because they know that when the pink ball goes soft, they can make hay. And they've got some specialist batters versus the pink ball in Head and Barnes. But then again, they might be in early when the pink ball is not soft.
Yeah.
All right, Akshay asks when the caveats to a player's legacy are longer than their bio on Cricinfo, the haters are reaching. Root is an all-time great anyway. I mean, no one's questioning, Root's greatness over here. I do feel though that having checked off this box does elevate his legacy in the sense that people won't shut up about it. So now at least we won't hear this again.
I was going to say, all it does is shut people up, right?
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing because people, but they'll find something else. And, now he won't be as good as Smith or whatever. But that's how modern world is. We just have to get used to it, right? There are no perfect arguments for any player.
Yeah. Hannibal over here says Jofra was our third best bat. That was a tragic comedy. I mean, it is incredible, right? That he was the third best bat. And he kind of proves a point. Samrat says, if Root scores 500 plus this Ashes and England wins, does Root move up higher spiritually in Jarrod's art of batting? Now, that's a super chat, isn't it?
No, because I expect him to make 500 runs. If it's like a 600 or 700 run series, then that probably changes things a little bit. Just let me look at where he is on the list exactly, who's in front of him. I mean, Herbert Sutcliffe, I'm assuming, made a lot of 600-run series in Australia, right? So that's who you're going up with. Herbert Sutcliffe almost averaged 60 in Test cricket.
Yeah.
That's the player that he has to jump over. For me, it's more, I think Root's case now is less about Australia because his record was fine. I didn't see it as a blip because he averaged enough for me to be like, if he'd made 100, he would have averaged over 40. 40 is, roughly around 40 is fine. I would rather him to do more, but he's been so dominant with other teams. I'm not too worried. But yeah, it's more about longevity now, how long he plays. Because if he plays for another 3 or 4 years and keeps batting the way he is, he could jump a lot of people in that list.
All right, next super chat is from Abhilash once again. Says, Dan Berry like keeping today by Carey. I don't get the reference. Maybe Jarrod does.
So Darren Berry is the great Victorian wicketkeeper who is probably one of the most skillful wicketkeepers of all time. If you go back, Behram, you should find this. There is a stumping of David Boone that Darren Berry does when Paul Rifle is bowling and Darren Berry's up the stumps and Paul Rifle fires the ball down the leg side and Darren Berry stumps him. And it is, you realize, when you watch a stumping like that, you do realize how much wicketkeeping has changed. Like the artistry and the skill and also the shapes of the bodies, because you will see that Darren Berry is a different kind of athlete than we might have today.
Yeah. All right. I think we might be done. Nope, we aren't. There are two more. Prudhvim says Kohli looked comfortable in partnership with Ruturaj as discussed earlier in Kimapa. Also, I'm sure he wants to avoid going below 100 strike rate at all costs. It is incredible how Kohli's just like going on, this charge mode, which is different to how he scored his previous hundreds, right? There are a couple in there, of course, where he bats really quickly. But these are back-to-back, and he's kind of taking the bowlers on, and it's incredible to watch.
Yeah, I thought they underscored as a team, India there.
Yeah.
Some of it is they don't have death hitters, and South Africa bowled well when the steam went out of the ball and everything else. But yeah, I do think there's something in this at the moment. He's really conscious of his strike rate not dropping again. Yeah. And perhaps even too much at times. But yeah, that's it's an interesting one.
Yeah, previous game in India lose that game because they score 74 runs for the loss of 1 wicket in the last 10 overs. So that's where the game was lost essentially.
Yeah, but this is one of those things of, you're right, that's where they lost the game. But if you're not pushing as much in the middle overs, you put yourself in a position where if you do get a bad death or the steam goes out, do you know what I mean? You know how I feel about this of like, when you're on top, you should be batting on top. I don't think you should be sitting there going, I just want to stay above 100 strike rate. I think you should be thinking to yourself, I can do more.
All right, Prudhvin with another one asks, just saw Jarrod's old video on Pujara where attacking shots have the best average of any bowler. Is that still true?
I have no idea, but it would be very high. I mean, but most defensive batters have high averages on their attacking shots.
Yeah. And we've got one more by Andy. He asks, does Root pass Sachin, Ramesh Tendulkar and Smith purely on career value if he breaks the runs record? How do those three fare if you compare peaks? He can't beat Sachin just purely on longevity, right? Like 200 test matches across like over 2 decades. And yeah, that's a tough one, man. I wouldn't go there.
Don't think he can ever beat Sachin.
But Smith
is hard too. Maybe if Smith has a bad 2-3 years and doesn't go anywhere or retires straight away, and Root, I'd be shocked if Root ends up in the top 5 best batters of all time. Honestly, I would be shocked at that. I don't think the case is there for him.
Smudger was the batter or best test batter of the 2010s, but Rooty is the best test batter of the 2020s. So there is
Who's the second best batter of the 2020s?
Probably Smudger.
So that's the Jack Hobbs argument, right? Jack Hobbs is the best batter of the 1910s and the second best batter in the 1920s. Root isn't quite on that level, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you need to be in the top 5. You have to be Sachin or Jack Hobbs or Steve Smith, right? And at the moment, Root doesn't have that longevity. Now, Root could play on until he's 44, for all we know, right? And continue to make runs. England don't have a lot of other batters coming through at the moment, right? He could continue to play. And if that's the case, that changes things a lot. But at this stage, he doesn't have the peak of someone like Smith. He's not even close to the peak of someone like Smith. And so longevity is his next best play, I think, at this point. Unless he suddenly has a crazy peak over the next 3 or 4 years, like a Gooch or Hussey type late, or Kumar Sangakkara type of peak, late in his 30s.
Because
he didn't have a good peak in his peak. Weirdly rude.
But 34 means that if he really wants to, he could play another 4 years, which means this cycle and the next. And if he manages to do that, then the runs conversation goes out of the window. He'll definitely overtake Sachin. But it ultimately comes down to, looking at all those different facets that we do when we kind of analyze batters' careers.
Yeah.
Who do they score their runs against? Where do they score them? What was the opposition team like? What was the era? How many runs were all the batters scoring?
Okay, so if you had another great player, I'm trying to think of someone around. If Kumar Sangakkara had played as many Test matches as Joe Root, do we think he would have scored more or fewer runs?
Well, Sangha kind of dropped off towards the end, and Ashwin just kept getting him out. But other than that, he didn't have any issues.
Right?
Yeah.
But he was about 40 when that happened, wasn't he?
True. He
was pretty good in his late 30s, wasn't he? Kumar Sangakkara, right? So if he played as many Test matches as Joe Root, do you think he would have made more or fewer runs? What about Callis?
Well, it depends. If he had played more of those Test matches when he was good, then he would have made more runs.
No, but I'm just saying, forget that. You're getting caught in the weeds here. I'm asking you a simple question. If Callis and Sangakkara had played the same amount of Tests, do you think they would have made substantially less runs or roughly the same or more runs?
Slightly more, I would say, because
okay. So at that point, why are we saying Root is better? Because England scheduled more Test matches, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say with this.
Counting stats.
Yeah.
Is what you're trying to say.
That's not to say that there isn't a genius in the counting stats that Jack Hobbs and Sachin and now Root are putting up. But it also, you have to remember that there are other players of the same quality who did not get to play as many Test matches in order to get those stats.
True. All right, Samrat with hopefully what is the last super chat of the day. Is there any merit in pushing Stokes to 3 and dropping Pope to 6, given he was good in New Zealand at that position? I don't think Stokes is going to go bat at 3. Yeah,
Stokes might bat at 8 and he might bat at 3 one day. It's not going to be in this series.
Yeah, maybe Will Jacks at 3 and Pope below. Is that plausible?
I wouldn't have thought so. But yeah, I suppose Will Jacks could be the Jacob Bethel if they needed that, right?
Of course. All right, we've got something else over here by Rushline. So you want to take it away?
No. We're just going to say that, just to pop it up at the end again, just to say this is where Rushline have it 66%, Australia 22%. I think a few people in the chat think that's a bit soft on England, which I think is fair. I think making the runs when you don't know how strong the opposition's batting is, and Travis Head hasn't opened very often. Jake Weatherald is on debut. The 2 best players of the pink ball might be in really, really early, which means you might be able to nick both of them off in Head and Marnus. The rest of the Australian batters don't have the same kind of pink ball stats as those 2 do. So if you can do that, I think there's definite reasons to be optimistic on England's chances from here on in.
So Jake Weatherall did play the last Test match, but he's spiritually on debut, of course, because he didn't score any runs.
Sorry. What I mean is he's still new. He's not. He hasn't made. He's not ready to you don't count him as runs made, right? Whereas with some of the other guys you do.
What it all might come down to is if Head doesn't work as opener, then you have Marnus in early, and you've lost your 2 best pink ball batters early in the piece.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and then Weatherall, and then you've got Weatherald and Smith. Smith doesn't do very well against the pink ball, and Weatherald's new, right? So
and then they don't even have an uberly long batting lineup, right? Like the batters will end at some point. Starkey is the last good one.
No, because Nisa and Starc basically do what Cummins and Starc used to do. They're similar talents. Nisa, a lot of people think Nisa can bat at number 7. I don't think he can, but he's a fine number 8, and that puts Starc at number 9. That makes their batting lineup a little bit better, I think. But there's a lot of questions.
Is Nisa a better bat than Sean Abbott?
Traditionally, yes. I think Sean Abbott's been in incredible form the last few years, though, hasn't he? But traditionally, I would have picked Nisa ahead of him. But they're both about the same. They're both number 8s for me. First class number 7s, maybe, but test number 8s.
Before we end the show, I just want to ask you one thing. Draw was at 12% at Rushline. I don't think rain is going to play a part over here because I checked the forecast. But 74 overs in a day, does that play a part potentially?
Yeah.
Because if Australia bat long, then the draw is in the picture.
Yeah, also, if the ball gets soft and Australia decide to defend it, even if they're bowled out for 350, it might take them 120 overs, right?
Yeah.
130 overs. So draw is still in favour there. So I agree with the AI on Rushline there.
Yeah, so that's some food for thought for you guys as we leave you. And thank you for all of your interactions and all of your super chats. Don't forget that you can go to goodareas.co and bookmark that webpage, and that can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the fun work that we do as part of our team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. And all of our shows on the Good Areas Network are powered by our supporters on Patreon. You can become one of them by going to Patreon/Good Areas Podcast, and that way you can enjoy ad-free content, you can talk to us exclusively, and you can give us podcast recommendations. So we'll see you tomorrow once again on Third Innings. That's all for today. Have a good one, folks, and goodbye.
Ross Taylor couldn't see at night or when the clouds were in. Eventually, he had to see an eye specialist who would fix his eyesight. In the 2 years before the change, he still averaged more than 50 in international cricket. The top level of batting talent can basically see in the dark. That is who we are talking about in our new book, The Art of Batting. Head over and order your copy today. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. If you want to be part of the community that makes content like this, head over now.